happy Thanksgiving to all my fellow Canadians. I hope you ate a lot, drank a lot, and did all the good things, and was grateful. I hope that you are practicing gratitude. And I think that that's what we really need at the end of the day, is a lot more gratitude in this world. That being said, you guys, we have a very, 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 very special guest. You guys know we're loving all things 90 Day Fiancé UK. Fan favorite Shane and Mert just like stood out, and we were all obsessed with them. April and I specifically talked about Shane and Mert all the time, all the days, all the things. And so without further ado, we not only have Shane in the house, we have April, my co-host for 90 Day Fiancé UK, in the house. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Hello.
So we're really excited to do this because, you know, we love all things UK. April as well. So Shane, thank you so much for doing that, because you really did come out as a fan favorite, and we have all the questions. We have a few people in our live chat that are very exclusive, specific to the Melanated way. So shout out to Carol and Amanda and Kathy. Thank you for being here, and we're just going to jump in. Shane, how has your life changed since you've been on international TV?
I wouldn't say it's changed that much, really. I mean, I now have to go out of the house with makeup on, whether I want to or not. That's the case, like we get stopped in town or someone wants a photo. One, for me, I don't want to have my photo taken if I look rubbish. And people who see us on the show, like, they want a nice photo with us, do you know what I mean? So that's the only thing I said has changed. Day-to-day life is exactly the same, hasn't changed since the show.
Now, I want to, you and I talked, Shane, about, dating. And April and I have talked about dating as well. Dating in 2023 is very difficult. And I remember one of the things you told me, because I've always said that, I don't personally think that I could date someone that was shorter than me. Yeah. And then you opened my mind and said, hey, you never know, the love of your life, maybe, 5'2". And you should be okay with that, because you might be missing out. Can you talk to the single ladies a little bit about your experience with that and your advice to us single ladies?
So,
all the single ladies.
I had exactly the same thoughts when, through all my life. I'm 5'2". I'm not 5'2". I'm 5'10". So I'm quite tall, and I've always said I will never get with a man shorter than me. That has just been. It's just been a need. Every guy that I've ever been with has either been the same height or taller. And people used to say to me, like, when you meet the one, it won't matter, you won't notice it. And I was like, it's just not going to happen. It's never going to be a thing. But when I met Matt, he'd actually lied on his dating profile and said, it was all in centimeters. And obviously in the UK, we work in like feet and inches. So I didn't really understand. Tried to type it into Google to get a gist of how tall he was. And I think Google had said it was about 5'9". I thought, oh, an inch is fine. Like, I don't mind that inch. And then when I met him, I thought, okay, like, two things he's lied about. He doesn't speak a word of English, and he's quite short. So that was a bit of a shock to begin with. But within the first 24 hours, I just didn't see his height. Like, it wasn't noticeable to me. Even now, when we're out and about, or he gives me a kiss or something, or we're holding hands together, I don't see the height difference. And I feel like once you meet the right person and you meet the one, it doesn't matter all their flaws. It doesn't matter what you had in your head to begin with.
Okay.
It just vanishes. Like, when you find the one, you just know.
Okay, I'm going to take your word for it. I'm really going to try to be open. This for the rest of this year, y'all, and into 2024, I'm manifesting my partner, and I'm going to manifest that I don't take in height into consideration.
My ex-husband was a little bit shorter than me, so I've already done my part for the short men.
So does that mean you're not going to be open-minded about it?
No, I'm not. I've done my part for the short man distribution system.
All right, I'm going to jump into the chat. Amanda says, Shane looks stunning.
Oh, thank you.
There's a question. Is 90 Day really popular there? Did she watch before she was on?
I definitely don't think 90 Day is as big as it is in America. I was a huge fan of the show in the States. I just don't think it gets as much publicity in the UK as it does in America. I mean, just look at the amount of press that it gets in America, and even down to like Instagram. I know it's like really bizarre, but even down to Instagram followers, the UK cast gets so much more. I think publicized more. It's more of a thing in America. Even like series 1, it was only a fluke that I ever saw it advertised. Me and Matt I think we've been together a month. I just come back off my second visit to see Matt, and I'd only been in the house like half an hour. I turned the TV on and I seen 90 Day Fiancé UK now streaming. And I thought, oh, I need to watch that. And then it sort of spiraled into let's apply for the show. We'd only been together for a month.
So, is it not as common because international or dating is not as much of an anomaly as it is in the US? I would imagine if you're an English person, it's pretty common to date someone from another country.
I'd say I was definitely the first person out of my friends to date someone living in another country. I've had friends date people from other countries living in our area. But no, I'd say I was definitely the first out of my whole friendship group to fall in love with someone at the other side of the world.
Okay.
So can we take it back to that? So what made you start? Okay, so I don't online date. And so I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to meet my person. Maybe at the supermarket. Maybe I'm not sure. But what made you decide that you were going to internationally date? And then was there like specific sites you were on? Like, how did that all come into play?
See, a lot of people ask me this, and I wasn't looking to date anyone internationally. The reason I was in Turkey, my sister was going for surgery. She was having what we call like a mummy makeover. So she's having like tummy tuck, boobs done, everything like that. And she'd asked me a couple of months before, please come with me. Like, my partner said he would come, but I don't really want him to come. I'd rather you come with me. I had loads of things going on. I wasn't in the best place mentally. I said, I can't afford it. I don't really want to go. Take your partner with you. And it wasn't until probably 3 or 4 days before she flew out, the dog that I'm actually looking after at the moment ate her partner's passport. So she said to me, you need to come with me. I haven't got anyone else to go with. Like, the flights are paid for. Things like that. So I went over with my sister, and I think it was the day we got there, she was checking in for the surgery and different things, and I thought, I can't stay in this hospital. I need to be rested for you. I need to be fresh-faced, be able to look after you. And I don't know about anyone else, but I just can't sleep in hospitals when there's that beeping, there's people coming in and out. So I booked myself into a hotel, and I went on to, everyone knows Grindr. But I tried to go onto Grindr because I wanted to find somebody LGBT friendly. I wasn't looking for what we call 5 minutes. I wasn't looking for an international love. I wasn't looking for a relationship. I was looking for someone that I could be safe around, that could spend a couple of hours with me while my sister was having surgery, show me where it's nice to eat, show me the sights, just a bit of company. I had to download a VPN because Grindr is banned in Turkey.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's banned. Oh. So I was already being a little bit naughty downloading a VPN. And the first person that popped up was Mert. And I thought, oh my God, he's really, really good looking. And we just started messaging backwards and forwards. And he was just so, I can't actually describe it. He was just so warm to me. And it felt like I'd known him for a long time. And it gets back to the fact of he was using Google Translate, and his replies were so quick. And I thought, oh my God, he's really good at English. He had some photos on his Instagram of him like driving Ferraris and Porsches and being in Dubai. And I thought, oh my God, this is really rich, like nice man. Little did I know that was like,
it was Instagram thing.
Yeah, it was Instagram. And I think I checked into the hotel and I like figured out that he was on holiday in another part of Turkey. And he said, if I come back in time and you're still in Turkey, I'd like to meet up. I'd like to like see what you're about, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, oh, okay, like, I'm just going to have to spend time on my own. And he said, whereabouts are you staying? So I said what hotel I was staying in. And then I think about 4 hours later, he said, I've got a surprise for you. Didn't tell me what it was. I managed to get it out of him about two hours later. And he said, I'm going to come and see you. I've cut my holiday short. So we got a taxi. I think it was like £400, I think it was, like the equivalent. And he turned up. Like I said, he was short, didn't speak English. But the smile that he gave me and how warm and welcoming he was, like, I just felt like I was seeing a friend, like, I hadn't seen for a while. And it was like an instant attraction.
That is such a beautiful story. Amanda says, oh my God, it's destiny. And that men are the same all over the world. Facts. So let me ask you, what was that time frame? So was that all within a 24-hour time frame that you guys connected?
It was within... So we left our location in Devon. I think we left at 5 a.m. in the morning. Got to the airport. I think we had about 2 hours to wait until the flight to Turkey. And then we got there. It's like a 4-hour flight. Got there in the afternoon. So then I downloaded Grindr the early hours of the next morning. So yeah, I'd say about like a 36-hour window of from leaving here to actually meeting Mert. It all just happened so quickly, and like I said, I never expected it to happen. I wasn't looking for a partner. I wasn't looking for a fiance. I definitely wasn't looking for a husband. But I think everything happens for a reason. And
when did you know he was the one? What was the exact moment?
The exact moment. So a lot of people don't know that Mert's brother, his older brother, died 8 days before we met. He died in an RTC. So the first day I've met Mert, like, then I found out how much she'd spent on the taxi to get here, and how far away he actually lived from where I was staying. It was over an hour and a half away. So I invited him to stay the first night, and he was like a true gentleman. He said, like, if you're comfortable with me staying, that's fine. If not, I'll go home. I thought he's just travelled all this way. I'll let him stay. Then the second day we went to see my sister, and I just felt so at home with him. I said, do you want to stay the rest of the week with me? He said, yeah, go on. And I think it was like the second day we were sat in bed having a talk backwards and forwards on Google Translate, and he just got really upset. I didn't know why. He hadn't told me about his brother. And he opened up and he poured his heart out and he cried. I would say he cried for 3 hours straight. But for him to, like, we didn't really know each other. And he poured his heart out to me and told me, like, all his inner fears and how he felt. And he was just, in that moment, I thought, like, you're just so special. And it was like a moment, and I thought, I've fallen in love with you. He just trusted me. And after that, I think it was day 5, we'd had a couple more conversations and we having laughs, and we were always laughing and joking together. And I sat down in bed and I thought, do you know what? I'm going home tomorrow. I need to tell this man how I feel. And if he doesn't feel the same, that's fine. I'll go back to England and I'll never see him again. If I don't say something, I'll always think to myself, like, what if, like, maybe what could have happened? So I sat him down and we were having like these little cocktails in bed, like these little sex on the beaches that were really strong. And I said to him, I've got to tell you something, like, that's fine. If it freaks you out, you can leave tonight. So I've just got to tell you, I'm falling in love with you. And he just sat there and he pondered for like about 3 seconds, and he smiled at me and he gave me a kiss and said, I've fallen in love with you too.
So we're all in tears, all of us. The whole story is like such a beautiful. I had no idea. I'm so sorry for Mert's loss. Recently, last year, I lost my sister, so I know what that pain feels like. Yeah, not me weeping at my desk. Yeah, she has us in tears in the first 15 minutes, y'all. But that's also how you know it was meant to be, that you guys were able to be so vulnerable.
Yeah. With
each other within that first week. So thank you for sharing that story.
Sorry I made you both cry.
I'm probably not going to be as cute with all this makeup falling off my face. So after that, what was the time frame from when you guys spent that first week together to when you saw him again?
It was 9 days.
9 days?
Mm-hmm. So obviously, with my job being a hairdresser, I'm very flexible. Like a lot of my clientele is like friends and family. I'm sorry if you can hear the dog whining in the background.
That's fine.
So I'm very flexible. I can pull people forward, push people back a little bit. And I've got to tell you this bit because this is really cute. So obviously, I think the last night, me, Matt, and my sister stayed in the hotel, and we had a transfer coach back to the airport. And I cried and I cried and I cried the whole way back to the airport. Matt was with me. And I thought, like, even though I've told him I love him and he loves me, but I just don't know if I'm ever going to see him again.
Yeah.
And while we were in the taxi, he had a little passport photo of himself. He's actually heard me through the door, and he's actually brought in what he gave me. So he had this little passport photo, and he wrote on the back of it the day that we'd met. So it says the 23rd of the 6th, 2022. It says, Mert and Shane, I will never leave you alone, my love.
Oh my God! Why am I such a sucker for love?
And then when we got to the airport, he vanished. Like, he took all my stuff out of the car, got us into, because obviously my sister was in a wheelchair, got us into departures, and then he just vanished. And I thought, where's he gone? Thought, is this all been a lie? Why? But we, like, Matt's favourite cigarettes in Turkey are Parliament. Can you just go and sort the dog out for me, please? So Matt's favourite cigarettes were Parliament, and that's what we'd been smoking in Turkey. So I think 20 minutes had gone by. He comes back with this big sleeve of cigarettes. And I said, well, what have you got them for? He said, I wanted to give you a present when you were leaving. He said, I know it's not anything, but I wanted every time you had a smoke, you'd remember me. So I flew back to Turkey, flew back to England, cried the whole flight home. My sister's in pain. She needs me. And I'm like, oh, like crying on the plane, like hysterically crying. And I got back and I thought, I've got to go and see him again. So I booked a flight for 9 days later. But Matt was like, right, let's stay with my family. It'll all be fine. They'll just think you're a woman. And that just filled me with dread. I was like, okay, right. I don't know a lot about like the Turkish culture. I don't know a lot about like Muslim religion. I don't know how this will go down. Because obviously, like, as nice as I can look, I think things, especially like in Western civilizations and Western worlds, things give me away. Like my voice, my build, different things. And a lot of people say if I'm on a night out or in a bar or a club, like people ask questions, like people just know. So I was terrified that going into Matt's family's house with them having a perception of me being one way, and if they found out, I didn't know how it would go down. Everyone tried to say, don't do it, like you'll get chopped up, you'll come home in a body bag, like it just won't end well. And something in my head just said, I've got to do it. Like, I've got to jump for love. If I don't, I'll always regret it. And maybe I'll get to like 40 or 50. And I think, well, what happened if I'd actually gone to Turkey? So I trusted him. I trusted myself. I trusted my gut. I got on the plane, got into Istanbul. He was an hour late picking me up, which was a red flag. But like apparently the buses, something had gone wrong with the buses. And then we went to his parents' house for 2 weeks, and they were just amazing. I think they stayed in the apartment for the first week, but because they realised I'd come from a different culture and I'd come to see Matt, they actually went to to Matt's auntie's house for the rest of the week. So they gave us some time in the house together, which was really nice. But no, his family are just amazing.
But didn't you have a little bit of anxiety because you had only spent like that week together? This is your second time seeing each other, and now you're spending time at the family house. Did you have some anxiety? Because I know like meeting the family is such a big deal.
So I suffer with anxiety anyway. And a lot of people don't know that I suffer with borderline personality disorder. So my emotions are always all over the place. And Matt's just he's just so calm and collected. He's like, I'll be fine. It'll be fine. And nothing ever phases him. So the first night we spent a night in a hotel. I said, I don't want to get off the plane and go straight to your parents' house. I want just time to chill out with you. And then we'll go the next day. And we were on the bus on the way to his family's house. And I was gripping his hands so much going, I don't know if I can do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. Even meeting like 1 or 2 new people in England, I'm like, no, thank you. Like, I'm not doing that. And I knew that everyone was excited to see me. So we had to go to a shop and get something a bit more modest to wear to his family's house, because I was in like booty shorts, the best top. It was hot in Turkey and I'm not used to the hot weather in the UK. So we got there and I think there was like 8 different family members in the kitchen. And I walked in and I was in this big black Turkish dress. It was very heavy material. There was no aircon in there. It was like 35 degrees in the apartment. I'm sweating. Everyone's talking to me in Turkish. I'm like, I don't really know what to do. But no, they were so warm and welcoming. I think the first half an hour, I didn't breathe very well. I was just like, sit nicely, don't say anything. Because I was just scared that I was going to be outed and someone would find out. And it didn't make it any better when his dad said, oh, like, Matt, I need you to take me somewhere. So I was then left in the house with his family for half an hour on my own, not being able to communicate with anybody. But his sisters were just amazing. They just tried to talk on Google Translate with me. They were just trying to have a laugh and they put me at ease. But no, it was a stressful time.
This story is so beautiful. I'm so glad we're getting the backstory. And one of the things that I did want to address, and I guess I'll address it now because Amanda's asking, Shane and you and I talked about recently how I often, every time I do my show, I often am trying to always be politically correct and to not try to offend anyone, especially as an entertainment reporter. We are bombarded all the time with what we can and cannot say. And then I know I shared with you, there was an incident where I did a press junket and I said something and the producers just were up in arms, but it turns out that, I was politically correct, for a lack of a better term. So Amanda's asking, are you okay with any and all pronouns? And I want you to share what you shared with me, because you did put me at ease. In April, one of the things that Shane said was that during our reviews of 90 Day Fiancé UK, she could tell that sometimes I was struggling, or sometimes I was like holding back because I was trying to not only learn on my feet, but also not offend anyone. So from there, Shane.
So I think every person is different. Everyone's outlook on things is completely different. But for me personally, just call me anything. I mean, one of the main things with me is what I find uncomfortable is when someone's trying to refer to you as either a he or a she, and they say something and then they try and backpedal. They and it makes them awkward, and they don't know what to say. Then it makes me feel awkward. Like, if I can see someone struggling on how to refer to me as, I'd rather someone just go for it. Just like either he or she, say it confidently, and go for it. Like, it doesn't bother me. As long as someone's not being derogatory or anything like that, it doesn't really matter. I can understand in the world we live in today, everyone tries to be as inclusive and doesn't want to offend. But with me, like, you don't need to worry. I'm so chilled about that. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like, some people see me more feminine, some people see me more masculine. That's not my decision. They don't see me. And people can just refer to me as they say. I have a problem with that. I'm comfortable enough in my own skin. I know who I am. I'm not pretending to be something I'm not. I'm just me. And whatever makes other people feel more comfortable or makes me feel comfortable.
You mentioned that in the Western world, you feel like there's things that give you away. I just want to challenge that a little bit.
Okay.
Because I don't think that a husky voice, I've got a deeper voice, has to belong to one gender. I don't think that broad shoulders has to belong to one gender. I think that you can be a woman and have these things, and it's not a giveaway. It's not less feminine. It's not less deserving of a particular pronoun.
Yeah.
If you don't.
Yeah, I understand. I think with my experience in the world, I feel like that's what people have said have given me away. And I can only speak from my own experiences. And I've got some friends that are taller than me, broader than me, and I've got like more huskier voices. But when I say it, like for example, say if I go to a pub or something, like they might people say, "Are you a man? Like you sound like a man, or you like hold like a man." And it's just one of those things that I feel like there's certain things. Even my best friends say to me, like, if you have a girly voice, you'd go undetected. Normally, it's just my voice that gives it away. But I don't feel like I need to hide in the shadows. I am who I am, and I'm not ashamed to be who I am. I feel like we're in 2023, and even though in the UK we've got a lot of dramas with our current Prime Minister, and I know there's dramas in America, it's just one of those. But I can only speak from like personal experience.
I appreciate the honesty and authenticity in which you exist. I really, really do. And I honestly think that a lot of people who react negatively to it are simply afraid. They're scared of being able to be honest and authentic with themselves. I think that more so than people who are hateful.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think a lot of hate comes from being, I don't like to say uneducated, because I feel like it sounds quite derogatory, but a lot of people don't have enough intel on like different things. It doesn't matter whether it's down to religion or gender or anything really, or race or anything. I think a lot of prejudice and a lot of hate comes from the fear of the unknown and not knowing enough about it, and hearing things from the media and hearing things from other people.
100%. 100%. I want to take it back. Amanda, I'll get to your question in a moment. I want to take it back to your love story. So you spend a couple of weeks with Mert and his family. You go back to England, and then this is where 90 Day Fiancé UK comes in.
Yeah. So like I said earlier, I'd been back in the UK for back in my house in the UK for about 30 minutes. I just got off the phone to him. I said, right, I've got in. Let me see my mum. Let me put my bags down. So I turned the telly on, and I saw 90 Day Fiancé UK now streaming. And I thought, amazing. The UK's got a 90 Days. I'm going to have to watch it. And then I sat down, and I saw like 2 or 3 episodes, and I thought, okay, maybe they're casting. So I did a little Google, and I saw that they were casting, and I rang Mert back straight away, and I said, look, you're going to think I'm crazy. You probably won't have a clue what I'm talking about, but please, can we apply for the show? I said, we're never going to get it. It's that they'll never want to film our story, but if they did, it'd be so good to show the world our story and be able to look back on these memories. And Mert said to me, like, I trust you. I have no idea what this is, but I trust you enough. Like, if you want to do it, we'll do it. And I sent my application in, I want to say about 10 p.m. that night. And by 9:30 the next morning, I had an email from the producers, the casting producers, saying, we love your story. Please, can we have a phone call with you? And I was doing my friend Grace's hair at the time, at about sort of like 9:45, 10 o'clock. And I had to put that off. And I said, right, Grace, I'm going to have to take this phone call. I took this phone call, and they loved our story. They couldn't believe like the amount that we'd done in literally a month. And then it just spiraled from there. And it was such a quick process from having that first meeting to having more Zoom meetings and talking to psychiatrists and make sure we were like fit for the show and different things like that. It wasn't I can't give a specific time frame, but it wasn't very long at all. So everyone that's watched us on 90 Day, you've literally watched from a month into our relationship to now. which is like, this is crazy, but
it's incredible. It's incredible because as we put the time frame together, it's incredible that it all happened so quickly. But then, you know, going back to even what Amanda said, it was meant to be like, he's your person, because everything kind of just fell into place and doors opened. And I know you guys, you know, hate when I say this, but I mean, you know, that's your person. God's like, I'm going to open all these doors, and he's opened all the doors. Boom, boom, boom.
And he even said, like, this is God's plan.
Yeah.
And I even started believing it.
Yeah.
As soon as we met, it was just like a domino effect of positive things. And it still is to this day. He's like my good luck charm. He's like my little saving grace.
Aww. So let's talk a little bit about your first day filming. So what did that look like? The producers came to you, cameras in hand. Talk to us a little bit about the process, because I feel like a lot of people don't realize what filming really entails. And I try to tell them that what you see is a 15-minute clip, but that could be 12 hours of filming. You don't know where the edit is going to be. You don't know what sound bites there is. As well as with reality TV, I can say this. I'll say, Shane, say the sun is brown. And you say the sun is brown. No, I need you to say it with a little bit more like bass, or I need you to say it louder. So you're saying the same thing over and over again, which doesn't make it scripted. It just makes it, we need to be able to edit it from all angles.
I'm not allowed to go into too much detail about this.
Okay.
But I can give context of what the first sort of day of filming was like. So when we first saw the scene of me in the garden watering the plants, so that was the first day of filming. That was the first ever day. I met the crew. It was a beautiful sunny day, and it was like a very bizarre experience. You've never met these people before. You've got a microphone on, and you sort of have to speak very openly and freely about your relationship, what you like, what you want to, So, what you want to do in the future and different things like that. And it's a bit strange because you've got to put your trust in these people and you've never met them before. And I think we were filming probably, I would say we filmed a couple of days a week for a year. Or just under, I think it was about 10 or 11 months we filmed for. But no, I can agree with you on what you said. I wouldn't say anything was scripted, but sometimes, I don't know, say if you've got the wrong, say if they didn't catch something or the camera didn't work or something, then sometimes they can ask you to like, sort of, when you say that a little bit again. But you don't have to. You can always refuse. If you don't want to do it, you can always say no. But it's definitely different watching all TV now, because you know sort of like the scenes, like how many people are there, how many cameras, what goes into like the organization of setting up, I don't know, like a date, or finding a location that's quiet enough that it's out of the way, or different things like that. It's not just so how would I say it? It's not as smooth as it.
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to talk about, and we can bring April into this because April's our immigration attorney.
Not for the UK though.
But so one of the things that was confusing to the fans was, okay, so did you apply for a spousal visa and then no?
So we applied for the Fiancé visa to begin with. So I know in the US you've got 90 days to get married. In the UK you've got 180 days.
Okay.
So it should really be called like 180 day fiancé. So the planning that goes into these fiancé visas is so vast. Like when I looked at it on the government website, I thought, oh, this will be fine. No stress. I can get this done in like a week or two. I think I started the process in September. I got myself an immigration lawyer because I wanted to do it right. I didn't want to mess up on anything. We didn't actually finish the process and actually have the time frames moving until I want to say December. So it was like September, October, November. So nearly 4 months of trying to get my documents together. I'm surprised they don't it's a long process. But we were very fortunate that we applied for like fast track, basically. I think they paid an extra £100 to get things moving a lot quicker.
Oh, okay.
So then obviously when we arrived in the UK, we had 6 months to get married. If you didn't get married in 6 months, you'd have to go back to Turkey.
So there's a way in the process where there's like a regular way and then there's a fast track way if you pay.
Yes. When we first applied, obviously with the war in Ukraine, there was a lot of Ukrainian refugees in the UK, and they were taking precedence over any other visa application. So what would normally take like 8 to 12 weeks was taking a minimum of 6 months, up to a year, to have visas assessed and processed. And they'd completely taken away the fast track option. So we couldn't apply for that when we actually paid for the visa. But once I think we waited 2 months. It was 2 months into the waiting time of the 6 months, and my solicitor emailed me and said, "Look, the Home Office have come back and said, if you can afford to, and if you'd like to, we can now fast track the application, and you can get a decision within 2 weeks, rather than waiting 4 months."
Did you do it?
I did.
Of course.
So I didn't have the money because everything was so tied up with what I was putting back for the wedding, different things like that. Like I didn't know if I'd have to fly back to Turkey and see Mert again. My money was just so scarce that I actually emailed my solicitor back and said, "No, I can't afford it. Like if I could afford it, I would." And then I sat down with my mum that evening and I spoke things through with her, and she said, "Look, I'll give you the money. Like pay me back when you want." She said, we need to get this decision now, because obviously, like if we'd have waited 4 months, and say if there was something wrong with the visa application, that would just put more time onto things. She said, we need to figure out whether it's a yes or a no.
Yeah.
If it's a no, we've got time to figure something out and sort of appeal the decision and get him back here so we can get married. So I paid for it the next day, and that 2 weeks was the longest 2 weeks of my life. I kept checking my phone every day. It wasn't like you'd get a decision in 14 days.
Yeah.
Like any time from now to 14 days. So I was like checking every day, like, no. But unbeknownst to me, Mert had, because we were both in the emails to our solicitor, he'd actually told the solicitor, when the decision comes through, please can you email me, don't tell Shane, because I want to surprise Shane by just flying over if it's a yes. Curiosity got the better of him, and he had to tell me. Even now, like he's planning my surprise birthday, which I'm not meant to know about, but I know a lot about because he keeps telling me. So the only thing I didn't know is when he was coming. So I knew he was going to surprise me and he was just going to turn up to the UK, but the guessing game was when he was coming. So I think from the day we got the decision, I think it was about 4, possibly 5 days that he was in the UK. So every time the door went, I would just fly to the door and I'd look through the little peepee hole, or I'd just fling the door open. The amount of like delivery drivers get the life out of, because I'd just fly the door open. Yeah. And there was this like terrified delivery driver at the door. I'm expecting someone. But no, when he actually did turn up the door, and I looked through the peephole and I saw this pink teddy, and I was like, "What is that? What is this? The crazy thing?" And I opened the door, and it was just nice to watch the footage back to actually really see the shock on my. I just didn't know what to do. I felt like I was dreaming.
Oh, that's so. You know what? You're restoring my faith in like romance and love. I love all of that stuff. It's so.
I wasn't a believer in romance before I met Matt, to be fair, and well, it's given me all the hope in the world.
I love it. Hi, Raydella. Hi, Christina. Late to the party, but never too late. Shane, I want to talk to you about being a fan favorite and how that makes you feel, because we are going to go into in a little bit the whole tell-all and the drama behind it. But did you know while you were filming that you guys were fan favorites?
No. So a lot of people don't believe me when I say this. Because of the cultural differences, the religious differences, and what taboos we were breaking, both in, well, more in Mert's culture than mine, we had conversations with Discovery, with the production company. We'd had conversations with us, with each other, and our friends and family, and we all thought that because of what we stood for, we would probably be public enemy number one, and we would ruffle more feathers than anybody else. So we were, and obviously, like a lot of people don't know, you don't get to see a preview of the show. You don't get to see any clips before it airs. Like, you watch the show as everyone else is watching. So we were just very prepared that we would get a lot of hate and we'd ruffle people's feathers and we probably would get on everyone's nerves. And but watching the show, and then people like the production company, Discovery, said, don't look online, just don't look, stay away from social media. But curiosity gets the better of you. You want to know what people think about you. And the overwhelming love and support that we saw from the first day, it was just amazing. And even to this day, I pinch myself because we thought it'd be the complete opposite.
Yeah, we peeped that really early. We noticed that just your authentic self, and just going through, like you said, the cultural differences, being brand new couple, all of that stuff. It was 100% authentic and it came through. So congratulations on that. Which leads us a little bit into the tell-all. And we're going to circle back on some other things too, but the tell-all. So one of the things that the fans were really excited about is that finally series 2, season 2, there was a tell-all because there wasn't one for the first season. And as fans, everyone gets invested in their favorite characters or their love stories or even the villains that they hate. And so they want to know what happens. Like, let's hash it out in a tell-all. So we were really thankful that there was a tell-all. But then the tell-all came, and like I've said to April, first of all, we needed way more time. So I'm hoping for series 3, there's going to be a part 1 and part 2, Discovery Plus, because there was so much to get through with all the couples. So you get there, and lo and behold, there is drama from the green room all the way on. Yeah. What were your thoughts? And before I ask questions, I want you to walk us through your experience through your eyes. So you get there, you're filming your first tell-all, you're meeting the rest of the cast members for the first time. Plus, on top of it, there's some behind-the-scenes drama.
Yeah. I mean, from the get-go, the tell-all is a very different kettle of fish to filming for the show. Normally, like filming for the show, you're in your own surroundings, whether it's in your own house or places that you know, and you've got a very limited number of crew with you. And obviously, when you're in a TV studio, there's a hell of a lot more people. There's a lot more lights, and there's a completely different feel to things. I wasn't intimidated at all, really, with day-to-day filming, but it was very intimidating. I sort of had to compose myself a few times. I was thinking, it was quite a few times that I would like stutter on my words and I couldn't get my words out properly. It was a very intense situation. But I didn't go in there, like, people won't believe this. I didn't go in there with the intention for it all to blow up like it did. I obviously knew that there was drama brewing behind the scenes. I'd heard from 3 other contributors what was sort of going on. I'd seen some screenshots, and people online have made this into, like, I've seen a group chat. If you actually re-watch the tell-all, I didn't mention anything about that I'd seen a group chat. I'd said that I'd seen DMs, different things. It was Catherine Ryan that actually brought up this group chat thing. So that's what everyone's classed onto. But it was so lovely to meet Tion and Michael and Marcy, because we'd spoken a couple of times, like backwards and forwards. We hadn't really had any conversations with any other like castmates. We didn't know who was there, who we were going to see. But the atmosphere when we walked back into the green room was a very frosty one. I mean, like, you know, you probably both had it when you walk into a room and people just don't like you. You walk into an atmosphere.
You feel the vibe immediately.
From when we first walked in, then Michael and Marcy came in, Tion came in. Really nice atmosphere, like laughing and joking, didn't feel like a weird vibe. And when we went back in, I sort of expected it. I thought there'd probably be another couple in there, but I expected it to be pretty much the same people that were in there. So when we opened the curtain and I was very like, hi, how are you? And it was just like awkward straight away. And I even looked at Matt and I grabbed his hand and thought, oh, fucking hell, like, so I don't know if I'm allowed to swear.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know what, this feels really weird. And obviously we walked over to the two couples that were sat on the chairs. And nobody even like really looked round. Like Rebecca didn't really look round, and nobody looked like they were going to get up. So I thought, well, okay, I'm going to swerve this. I'm not going to embarrass myself. I sort of started to walk over. Nothing was happening. So then I went and sat down. I give Robert his due for shaking our hands, but you could cut the tension with a knife. Obviously, the tell-all, even down to like normal filming, you only see certain amounts. Like most of filming ends up on the edit floor. So we were in there for a while, and the conversation wasn't going between three of us. There was just pretty much the two other couples there. And I just kept holding Matt's hand, and I kept saying to him, this is really awkward. Like, I want the ground to swallow up, like open up and swallow me. And I sort of, to myself then, I thought, you know what, like, do I say something now? And I thought, no, I'm not going to come in all guns blazing. But no, it was a very weird experience. It's a shame that it ended like that. And then obviously I'd heard a couple of things that were said in the green room and behind closed doors on the day. So I sort of went in there with my war paint on, and you go with your guards up. If someone doesn't like you and they clearly don't like you and they've got a problem with you, and you've heard and seen a lot of things that make you believe a certain way, you're not going to go in all happy. Like, I'm not a fake person. I never have been, and I stand my ground, and I always I pride myself on being authentic, and I'm not two-faced. If I've got something to say, I'll say it. I'm not going to be that person. I'll say one thing to someone's face and be all happy and smiley, and then slack them off behind their back. I'd rather say it to their face.
Mm-hmm.
So my personal opinion on that is there's a lot of jealousy, right? So there's a lot of jealousy, in my personal opinion, y'all, with being fan favorites and coming in knowing that the fans are already behind you, having a lot more screen time than others. So, because in my mind, there's no other reason to have animosity towards someone you've never met, right?
Well, there is another reason. It's because if you are having trouble being yourself and presenting yourself, sometimes that comes out as anger or aggression towards someone who is.
Mm-hmm.
So not only are you a fan favorite, you're an authentic fan favorite. So that is going to breed some anger, resentment, jealousy in other people. Sorry.
So, agreed. I agree with that 100%. So we get to the tell-all, and shout out to the host. It's hilarious. Like that whole, I don't know, that's like my cup of tea, her humor, my cup of tea. And so all of a sudden we're seeing like there are definite sides that have been reached, And one of the things that I thought was interesting is that, and I'm going to say it as the host of my own show, but like having like Azelle and Robert, where we didn't really see a lot of them. They came in mid-season, but she came in as like a mean girl to her own boyfriend. We had some issues with like Rebecca and Christian, and whether Christian was really there for the right reasons. And so we were just all responding to what we had seen on our screens. April, do you back me up on that?
Yeah, absolutely. One more thing about Rebecca. Go ahead.
And then Tion was, in our opinion, from a fan perspective, a category of her own.
Horrible.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot to say on our show about that. But so you have all this, and then you have the fan favorites, yourself and Mert, and then you walk in, and I'm not mentioning Mercy/Marcy.
We're still not at the bottom of what we call her.
Because
Marcy or Mercy.
But Shane, I have to tell you, that just is, what am I looking for? The word, April. That's like
you let me tell you something. I have loved Mercy forever, and you've always had a little bit of a not so, you don't think she's like sincere.
Okay, the reason why, again, Mercy is because if you can't stand for one thing, you stand for nothing. So the Mercy thing really bothers me to this day. And Mercy, I can have a conversation with you. I'd love to interview as well. But if you can't say, this is what my name is, and stand by it, then I feel like you're wishy-washy. And being wishy-washy never, ever, ever is okay with me, because then I don't know what you're about. So if your mom can call you Mercy and people are like, yeah, just call me whatever, it's not, it doesn't sit well with me. Have a stance and take that stance. So that being said, this whole fight that came up about, or disagreement or misunderstanding, in my personal opinion, it started with Azelle. And we all know we live in a digital world. So if you are going to say something, stand by it. You're going to text something, stand by it. And if you can't stand by it, then don't say it or text it.
Yeah, own it.
She sent out whatever she sent out, talking about a couple that she had never met. But obviously, in my opinion, there was some envy and jealousy going on behind the scenes. And she expected Mercy to not say anything. And of course, she's going to tell her spouse, or she's going to tell her fiance, because you tell your partner in life that you're walking the journey with everything. He decided, and by the way, I'm not the only one that thinks this. So Michael, he was neither here nor there the season, but at the tell-all, everyone started to love him way more because he standed by principle, which, April, I'm going back to, if you stand for nothing, or whatever the saying is, that's how I feel. Yeah, that's how I feel.
But I have an excuse for Marcy, but go ahead.
Girl, stop it.
I will excuse Marcy of anything, okay? That's just how it is. I've just decided I loved her.
I love Marcy. She's a gem. She's so funny in real life.
So he stands up, does what he thinks is right, lets you guys know, hey, I don't want you guys to walk into an ambush. This happened. So then we come into the tell-all, and you can cut the tension with a knife, and then no one's standing up for their part of it. Azelle's like, oh my God, I don't know what happened. I didn't expect to talk shit about somebody, and that person actually tells somebody else. And to get out, I can't believe it. I'm so shocked. And then you have Marcy, that you guys love, but her being like, in the cut, being like, oh my gosh, I just feel so anxious about this. Well, take a stand. Take a stand then. Where do you stand on this? And you don't even have to take anyone's side, but take a stand. Then I'm leaving the best for last. I don't know where Rebecca's animosity came from, and I was rooting for her whole season. I was hoping that, the whole Christian thing wasn't going to screw her in. Oh, I was about to say something totally stupid. Wasn't able to screw her over, because she's already made this mistake in the past, and she's already seen similar red flags and have let those red flags go. But then she came on the tell-all, and then she was like a mean girl. And
that's where her animosity came from, Linda, because that prior partner was Turkish.
Oh, listen, okay. Go ahead and say what you were going to say, because you wanted to say something about Rebecca and Mercy. April.
I wanted to say about Rebecca that she is unfortunately one of those people who's able to see issues that other people are having, and maybe even that she's having, but she's just failing at applying it to her life.
And
she's switched with Mike. Like, we were rooting for her through the season, and then she comes to the tell-all and it's like, oh, it turns out I don't like you. Whereas Mike, it was like blah 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 blah. Hey, I like you. She went the opposite way. Because there was absolutely no reason for her. See, like, when I'm doing something that's not that bright, like when I'm in a bad relationship, I don't go out talking to my friends about their relationships because I know the glass house that I'm living in.
Yeah, don't throw stones.
Yeah, like Rebecca was not having any recognition of the glass house that she was living in when she decided to take shots at other people.
I'm going to go with Amanda. Amanda says, like, okay, Mercy, you probably have a name tag at work. What does it say? Does it say Mercy or does it say Marcy?
You guys, you got to cut her some slack because I just think that her husband is saying her name wrong and she doesn't want to embarrass him.
See, what Marcy actually said, like it was said at the tell-all and it didn't actually make the cut.
Oh.
So to her, because obviously in the Kenyan accent, it sounds like Marcy, but because a lot of people, she said, a lot of her friends and family, they'll swap between the two of Marcy and Mercy. It's not like a set thing. She said she's always been called different things and everything's been pronounced so differently from different people.
What do her parents call her?
I don't think we ever got to the end of it. Like, she was just very, I don't know, like, just call me what you want. A bit like me, like, refer to me as you want. But no, she's got a good heart and she's really funny in real life. But yeah, this whole Marcy Mercy saga, I don't think it'll ever end. I think it's just an anomaly.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to end either. So who were your favorite cast members to meet in real life?
I'm going to shock people here. And I'm going to really, like, people are going to burn me at the stake for saying this.
Tell me it's not Richard.
Do you know what, actually? Richard, in real life, he is not the person that you see on TV. He's a performer. Honestly, like, don't burn me at the stake for this.
April's face, sorry. Go ahead.
What he says is true, and I don't agree with most of what he said on the show. But I don't know if anyone noticed, he wore the LGBT
we saw it.
Little thing, and he actually, because we went for drinks with him afterwards, like Michael and Marcy and Richard came to our hotel for a couple of drinks, and he said that he wore that in sort of like honor of me and Matt for being so brave and showing our story on the show, and different things like that. And he even said to me, like, he on his series, he wanted to be like a pantomime villain. He thought that if he was this chauvinistic, really like someone a bit like how we love to hate some of the big American cast. You know what I mean? Like where with Angela screaming in people's faces and Big Ed, like we love to hate them. And I think he thought that was how it was going to go with him, and he egged things up and made things a lot worse than it was, and it backfired. Did he say some things I didn't agree with in real life? Yes. Do I think he's all bad? No. But no, he really shocked me. And Tion, what I would say is...
Tion's your favorite cast member?
No, Mike was my favorite. Marcy second, and then Tion is third.
So let's just be clear. Michael first,
yeah.
Marcy second, and then Tion is third? Okay.
Yeah. So me and Tion formed a friendship before the show had even aired. We hadn't seen each other on TVs. We just, like on Discovery, they just showed all our photos as the couples. And I reached out and we were chatting backwards and forwards, and we formed this really good friendship. Obviously, when I watched what I watched on the show, I was quite shocked. So I was like, this isn't the Tion that like I've known to like I've grown to like love and really admire. She's very intelligent in real life. She's very down to earth. But I do think that being in a relationship with somebody and being friends with someone is a little bit different. But no, I was quite shocked at how she came across on the show, which I think she has got a good heart. I think a lot of it probably is down to age. I think my outlook on life when I was like 20, 21 is different now when I'm nearly 28. I think we can all say the same. Whether we've gone to that extreme of what we wanted when we were younger is completely different. But meeting her in real life, she was so lovely, and I won't say a bad word about her because she has stood behind me and Mert from the very beginning. She obviously, I don't know, I think she got wrapped up in things, and but even with like the whole Michael and Marcy thing, like Tion had sent me a lot of information and screenshots and different things, and she wanted to protect me just as much as Michael did. So I honour her for that, and she's never done me wrong. So, and I always try and judge people on how they are to me personally. Like, if you come to me with respect, you're a nice person, you get respect, and I'll come to you nicely back. And that's what I try to do at the tell-all. Like, no matter what had gone on behind the scenes and what I'd seen and what was brewing. I even said that to Mike, I said that to Marcy. If it was Estelle and Robert had come in and not Michael and Marcy, I would have immediately stood up. I would have greeted them nicely. No matter what had gone on behind the scenes, we're there, like, we're adults. And I'd have done the same for Rebecca and Christian. So I think that was what started to really form my opinion with these people. And I was like, okay, like, I would have done that for you, but you didn't have the decency to like greet us and different things like that. So I try and base my opinions on people when I've met them. But like I said on the show, and I stand by it now, some of the people I met there were exactly the same as they were on TV, if not worse.
Yeah. I'm shocked, and so I'm going to sit with that for a minute. But I will say this: I do too also judge people on how they first treat you. And I will say this, as a big 90-day fan account with lots of followers, I'm always the first to support new cast members, new seasons, all of that. As an entertainment reporter, I try to stay as neutral as possible. On my show, yeah, I have my opinions, but that's what my show is about. But when I'm actually reporting, I try to stay as neutral as possible. And I will say this, for Tion, if you ever watch this interview, again, I'm open to sitting down with you and setting the record straight about how you were portrayed, how you came at me on social media, talking about due diligence. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So if you want to squash it with me, I'm more than happy to do that. And I will take Shane's word that you're lovely and intelligent and all of those things. That being said, we're going to push it forward a little bit. I want to talk to you a little bit about the moment that you had enough on the tell-all. Did you feel it coming? And if so, how did you like reel it back in?
Like I said, I can't go into too much detail about things. And like I said, you only see certain parts of what happens and different things, whether things were cut out, I'll say, whether things were said to make me blow up like I did, it's not what to say. I think people can read between the lines, and people can. I think people have watched me enough on this series to know that I'm quite level-headed. I've got a bit of temper. I can blow up, but only over like things that are warranted. So, and I'm normally not one to storm off, but I just needed to take 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the whole process is very intense. Like, it's an environment you've never been in before. There's a lot of people you've never seen before, and even down to the classmates. Like, there's atmosphere, there's tension. You've never actually met any of these people before. You're in like a studio with all these people. Just too much. So it was nice that we actually got to go out and have a cigarette. I didn't think they were going to show it because normally you don't show people on TV having a cigarette. But I just needed to cool down. And I think like if I hadn't gone out with Matt and cooled down, I feel like I would have just started to escalate. Yeah, I would have just blown up. but I feel like I held my ground. I feel like watching the tell-all back, I wasn't embarrassed, and a lot of people have sort of come for me online, and a lot of opinions are divided on how I conducted myself, how I treated other people. At the end of the day, we all live in the real world. Some people live under rocks, some people don't. Some people live very sheltered lives, some people don't.
Yeah.
I could have said way worse. And a lot of people said, why didn't you say way worse? I thought I was quite reserved. I said what I needed to say. I held my own. And even now, I stand by what I said. It was just a bit of like, none of it was really necessary. The whole drama from the get-go. I'm not just talking about like my kickoff and why I kicked off on the show. It was just, like I said in my personal statement, because Rebecca was getting a lot of hate, and I didn't want my beef with her. Yes, we're on a TV program, and yes, we don't see eye to eye, and we don't like each other. When the online hate started to turn quite like threatening violence to her, I thought I've got to try and put a stop to this, because yes, we don't see eye to eye, but I don't want anyone to fear leaving their house or anything like that. We're all adults. And the tell-all should have stayed at the tell-all.
Yeah.
Like, we said what we needed to say. We didn't have to see each other again. And it should have stayed there. But
I'm going to add on that. So one of the things that I think that cast members can't control is the fandom. So the fandom, and April can attest to this, Christina and Amanda and Rodella and everyone else that's watching the live as we replay it right now, the fans are going to take a stance, and outside of the cast members, they're going to do and say what they want. And oftentimes, it's easy to hide behind a keyboard and say all the mean things, but I don't think that you can hold the cast accountable. You have to hold the fandom accountable, because oftentimes it's like the mob mentality. One person starts and then they all jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
And so I just encourage you guys, remember that these are real people with real lives, and they're sharing their lives with us on TV. And, just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. Like Shane said, we're all adults here. Be adult about it. Because at the end of the day, it's a reality show and it's here to entertain us. And after that, you can leave it on your TV screens. Have an opinion, but be respectful. Amanda, I'm going to go into some of the questions in the comments. Amanda says, on paper, what is she saying? Rebecca and Shane should get along. They're both like good time gals. It's a shame it went another way. And she also says, it wouldn't be a 90-day tell-all if someone didn't walk off. Facts. One of the questions she had for you, and I'm going to try to find it right now, Shane, is, has Shane ever been to America, and would you visit?
I've never been to America. It's somewhere that I wouldn't say on a bucket list. It's not like really high up there. I need to go to America, because I feel like it's just England on steroids. I just think it's like everything's just a bit bigger and a bit crazier. And I feel like a lot of the time I want to go and experience like new cultures, different things. And obviously, like, even though like the UK and the US are slightly different, it's based on like very similar ways of life. But no, I'd love to go to America. I'd love to see like New York, California, Florida. There's a lot of things that I'd like to do, but whether I'll ever get there or not, I don't know.
I want to plug two places that were not on the list that you just said. One is New Orleans, which I think is very, very unique and a part of the US that people overlook when you want to have a cultural experience.
Yeah.
New Orleans is so different because it was colonized by the French as opposed to the British. And so the food there is different, the music there, everything. It's one of my favorite places to go. And then I'm in Washington, D.C., which is the nation's capital and is really beautiful and exciting in and of itself. I love this place, even though we are rat infested. So come check us out.
I'm sorry. Are you
A lot of places in the UK are rat infested as well. Don't worry.
Are you claiming America right now?
I am not Canadian today. Okay, when I travel, I normally just speak Spanish because I get treated nicer than if people know that I'm American.
Amanda says, Christina and I are in Florida. We will show you out. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I wanted to also ask you, what's next for you, Shane? What's next for you and Mert? What do you see this honeymoon phase looking like?
So we've got so much planned. We obviously got the call from Discovery, I think last week, to say that they weren't going to take us onto a series 3, which there was plans on taking us on. They said that our story had ended and like it ended on a good thing, and they didn't think we could go any further. We've got loads of.
So are they not going to do like a 90-day Fiancé UK happily ever after type version?
I don't know. The only thing I know at the moment is that they're doing a series 3 at the moment. But we won't be on it, which is fine. We've got a little YouTube account and different things, but no, the plans for the next 12 months are. So obviously I've got my birthday next month, so it'll be my first birthday as a married woman, and we've come so far from last year, so I'm not on a curfew anymore. I don't have like the 2-drink rule. As soon as I came to the UK and he saw the culture and he understood like what a pub was about, and we've got a bit of a drinking culture in the UK, and we'd like to have a good time and a drink, and it's just not like that in Turkey. So when he actually came here and saw the differences in the cultures, he gave me an apology like immediately. It was like, I'm so sorry for how it all kicked off on your birthday. Now I'm here and I see it, I completely understand. So that's good. So we're not going to have any kickoffs this year. And then obviously it'll be Mert's first like official Christmas. We did have a Christmas last year in Istanbul. Like me and him got a little apartment for ourselves just for the 3-day period. I tried to cook him like an English roast dinner, like a Christmas dinner. We had like crackers with hats and things and presents, which he just didn't really understand. I was like singing all these Christmas songs, getting drunk in the kitchen, cooking all this food, and Mert was like, do we have to listen to this like all day? And I was like, yeah, it's Christmas, it's Christmas. So this year there's going to be like a Christmas tree. Obviously we've moved into my new house. And I want him to experience like the spirit of Christmas.
Yeah.
It's not about the presents. It's not about this or that. It's about the feeling of Christmas.
Yeah.
Your family and just being grateful for what you have.
Yeah.
And we just didn't experience that last night. Like last time, it was just being together. We've obviously got our honeymoon. And we were going to go to Northern Cyprus, but in the last...
I like Cyprus.
Yeah, so because of Mert's citizenship and where he was born, it's very hard for him to just fly anywhere. Like, so obviously, like if you're American, if you're Australian, Canadian, or English, you can just pretty much fly to wherever you want. Whether you just get like a visa on arrival or you apply for like an e-visa beforehand, like the world's our oyster, we can just go where we want. And that's just not the case with a lot of Middle Eastern, even some European countries. So we've got to try and pick where we can go that's not a lot of hassle. But in the last couple of months, Egypt and Turkey have become friends again, so they can get like a passport on arrival. And Egypt's one of my favorite countries to holiday in. Like, it's just amazing. So whether we go on an all-inclusive trip to Egypt, either around my birthday, maybe in the next month or so, or whether we do it in the new year, and then we've got to fly back and see his parents. It'll be the first time Mert's seen his parents in 8 months. Well, 8 months to now at the moment, and obviously it'll be the first time I'll have seen any of his family since they found out, which is a bit like, it's a bit daunting. It's a bit nerve-wracking, but they've taken it so well and they've been so supportive. I can't see that changing. But it's still a nervous thing. It's still one of those, like, they know now, even though it's out in the air, I still get a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Turkish wedding. So obviously it won't be official wedding because obviously it's illegal in Turkey, but we're having like a big wedding party.
Celebration.
Yeah, basically like a wedding without all the official documents and different things. And then whether we go for like another little honeymoon in Turkey, I'm not sure, but we're opening a Pride event in Birmingham next year, so we've got a little meet and greet going on. We're opening a Pride event, which is amazing. Obviously, like in Istanbul, they don't do Pride because the government don't allow it. They try and organise it every year, and it always becomes violent and people are arrested and different things like that. So it'll actually be nice for him to see acceptance as it is.
Yeah.
Everyone coming together, so that'll be really nice. And we've possibly got a little merch deal in the works at the moment. So I've been communicating backwards and forwards with New York at the moment, trying to get this merch deal sorted before Christmas.
Yay! Congratulations.
You know, whether it actually it's still in the talking stages, we've not signed anything yet. We're just backwards and forwards with ideas. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I haven't jinxed things. It'll all be fine. But yeah, there's a lot in the works and we're very excited. And I even say to Matt all the time, look at what we've achieved in 12 months. What can we achieve in 5 years?
I love it. We have some fan questions before I wanted to share a story. So the first question is, what do you think about Louise and Chicken?
Okay, so Louise and Jose, like I said at the tell-all, it's very clear that they love each other. Do I agree with how fast things are, considering there are children involved? I think it was a little bit fast. But everyone's life is different. A lot of people thought that me and Matt moved too quickly, and it was the right thing for us. Who are we? Who's anyone to say that it wasn't the right thing to them? Obviously, I never met them in real life. We only saw them on the TV. And like I said to Jessie at the tell-all, if I was in Jessie's situation, and my mum had been doing all sorts of these crazy things and bringing men that didn't speak the language and were running around naked and going to the toilet here and doing that and not doing anything, would I be annoyed? Yes, I would be. And I did a bit of I think Reddit and Facebook did a bit of investigating halfway through the series, and I don't know, this is just what people have speculated, but there was a children's room spotted in the series when they were walking past the door. There was like a Lilo and Stitch thing on the wall. There was like a child's bed with lots of toys. So I don't know if she's got other children, and obviously like if she's got other younger children, that like changes things a little bit to how quickly you move someone in the house. But I wish them all the luck in the world, and I hope the baby's fine, and I hope the baby's healthy. But would I have been annoyed if that was my mum? I'd be a bit like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But like I said, each their own.
Carol wants to know, have your mom and Mert resolved the tension between them?
They have. So I think people forget, like, weddings are stressful as they are, without trying to throw in like an international house move. Like, Mert's moved over to a country he's never stepped foot in before. He's not got his family here. The culture's different. The weather's really different. And both my mum, Mert, and me were very strong characters. And my mum has only lived with me for 27 years. And my mum can be very direct. She can be very abrupt. And she can speak to people.
I wonder where you get that from.
You can speak to people like shit sometimes. And because I'm used to that, and I know how to deal with that, like I can just let it go over my head. But when it was happening with Mert, and she was ordering Mert, do this, do that, and she was being quite snappy, and obviously with the stress of the wedding, like it was taking its toll on her. I've just moved out, like filming. She didn't like filming. Tensions just got high, and Mert thought that she was doing it in a very aggressive, sort of condescending way, when I know she was just stressed and she was just letting everything fly out of her mouth. And that's why they clashed and things like that. Obviously, like I said, like the wedding, moving house, the trying to sort the pieces out at the same time and filming at the same time, everyone's emotions were all over the place. So I think it was, I'd say, a week after the wedding, we'd finished filming. My mum's came over and met my mum sit down. I was sort of like mediator. I was sat in the middle. Matt said what he felt and how like it made him feel. And then my mum said, like, I understand that. This is how like I felt and how I deal with things. And they both apologized to each other and they started fresh. And as soon as that,
Oh, wait, is that who?
I hear Mert.
Is he gonna come on screen?
No, of course I'm not giving apologize. I'm not giving apologize for her. She have given apologize for us. Yeah, that's true.
yeah, but she
No, I'm not giving apologize. I'm not giving apologize for her. Yeah. Of course I'm not.
And this is why you guys are fan favorites, because it's
always
always
different. I mean, if anyone
Authentic.
watches us on TikTok Live, I did a Get Ready With Me on TikTok Live today. And we just bicker all the time. That's our love language. Like, you saw it on the show when he was like paddling away on a paddleboard. And I was like, where are you going, dickhead? Like, Turkey's not that way, it's this way.
Can I have one? Can I have tell one thing, please?
Come on, Mert.
Come on,
Normally, I can see here ketchup with Shane and Mert. Why you not telling me we have meeting and I'm sitting in here? You on camera, I'm not on camera.
come on camera.
No,
come
I
on.
can't come in.
Yeah, come on, slide
Come
over.
on, we want to see
No,
you.
of course not. After 1 hour, after 1 hour 20 minutes, I'm not need.
Oh no, because you're the special
You
guest.
want to be on camera.
Of course,
So you
I said before. I said before. I said before.
Mert, you got your. Come on over.
Mert, I actually have a question that I've been waiting to ask
I'm
you.
not comfortable now.
No, he's not comfortable now.
Oh,
You said
come
to me earlier you had a
on.
headache. You didn't want to be on camera. That's why I came in on
No,
my
I
own.
must say. I must say.
You were curled up on the sofa,
You
but
just
that's
said,
fine.
I asked him.
Mert,
if they want.
I'm going to ask you off camera. Have you taken Shane to Cappadocia yet?
Have you taken me to Cappadocia yet?
I have planned, yeah. for
You
this
have
year.
plans
Yeah.
to?
I don't want given date, but I have for the surprise.
Have you
Okay.
taken me enough either? Because it's really warm in here.
Yeah, I have those.
But it's
Oh,
slapping himself. I've been getting hot for the last like 10 minutes.
Mert, so Mert, I want to tell a nice story about you. Will you come on camera for me for 5 seconds?
Yeah, let me want to tell you a story. Come on.
We're like a family by now. Hi!
Hi! It's Mert.
Yeah.
It's Mert. It's Mert. Mert. Mert.
Okay, so I'm
Yeah.
going to share this little story that I just think is adorable, and it's very married life material. So the other day when we were chatting, you remember?
Yeah.
And then you came home from an excursion. And April, one of the funny things is, you know, when you're married life, you're like, make sure to pick up like the chicken or make sure to pick up like some takeout. Remember, Mert?
Mhm.
Wow.
Do you remember the other day?
So the other so Shane was like, oh, you know, make sure you've picked up some food for later, blah, blah, blah. And Mert comes over.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
He's all happy. He's like, hello,
Yeah,
Linda,
yeah. I
hello.
remember, yeah.
Comes in with nothing.
For nothing. Yeah, I come for nothing. Then we have ordered pizza.
He does it all the time.
But that's how you know it's a perfect married life. I
He's
love
terrible
it.
for it.
I loved it.
Yeah,
So,
you can
Mert,
do that.
Yes.
what was your favorite thing about filming?
Everything.
Yeah.
I swear everything, and I miss. I said, yeah, maybe we have series 3, but they're not giving. Yeah.
Now, are you allowed as individuals to request, like, if you had any special moments that they didn't show in filming, are you allowed to request those for your personal memories?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but before we start filming, I told Shane, look, you have planned this things for us,
TV show.
yeah. But if we start filming, I said, Shane, we need to be number one. This way, we're making good filming and cheer filming.
Yeah.
And we did.
Yes.
But yeah, no, we had a meeting with the production company because there was a lot of things that I got given a GoPro because obviously, like when they're in Turkey, they're on limited time and they can only film certain amounts, like in a certain amount of time. And I'd be in Turkey for sort of like 6 weeks at a time. So I was given, as well as I had my phone to record things on it, I was given the GoPro. And one of the things that I flew from Egypt to Mert's family's house, like, he didn't know about it. It was just before Christmas. And I said to him that I'll fly back to England because I had my return flight sorted anyway. And I said, look, I'll come back to England and I'll spend a couple of days in England and I'll fly back out to Turkey. We'll spend Christmas together. And it was only when I was on the way to the airport, I changed my mind. And I thought, I'm going to fly straight from Istanbul to Turkey. Because it was only like an hour and a half, 2 hour flight rather than going all the way back to England to go all the way back to Turkey a couple of days later. So I got hold of his mum, I got hold of his sister, and I said, like, make sure Mert doesn't go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Say that something's gone on, like there's a family emergency, you need to go out and do something. And his sister was like, yeah, no worries. Like, what time are you going to get in? I said, like, my flight lands at 5:30 in the morning. I'll be there at the house probably about 6:30. So I got a taxi all the way to your parents' house. And I don't know if I'd said it in the show, like Mert didn't have a room at his parents'. Like, he was just sleeping on the sofa. He'd slept on the sofa for about 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. So I texted him that I was outside, didn't want to knock on the door and wake him up. And went in, greeted his, and this is all on the GoPro. And I walked in, greeted his mum, greeted his dad, greeted his sister. And then I snuck into the living room, turned the light on, and he was just flat out on the sofa. And I thought, I can't believe I've managed to get here without him, like, knowing that I was coming. And I sat down and I sang a little, like, Kurdish tune to you. And your eyes just bolted open, sat upright. And he was, the first thing he said was like, F you, bitch. And he was like, how are you here? How are you here? And I was like, I surprised you. And he was just so shocked. I couldn't believe it. It's things like that, obviously. I gave that to the show because I thought they were going to show it, but they didn't. But like things like that, we've asked for it back. So they just need to find different bits of footage. And there's a couple of bits of footage that I'd like from the wedding.
Yeah.
We're hopefully going to get like the speeches and different things like that. Because Mert had such a beautiful speech. He was terrified, obviously not being like a native English speaker. When I said like normally like the best man does a speech, this person does a speech. You didn't have you had Dell as the best man.
Yeah.
But I said like, I'm gonna give a speech. He was like, oh no, I'm not doing that. And I was like, no, like, come on, you need to. I said, I'll give a speech. But I think for like a month before, he'd been writing things out, and every time I was at the room, he was asking like friends and family, do you think this is good? Do you think this is good? But no, like you blew it out of the water with your speech, and it was really good.
Yeah, you shared a clip on your social media, and it was really, really good. Mert, I did want to ask you this. You're very romantic. Like, you have a great love language with gifts and surprises and being thoughtful. Where did you learn that from? Did you learn that from your dad?
No, yes, my family teach me, but how I can say, I'm now 29 years old, but when I'm 9 years old, after I have started work in my life, then I have learning everything in my life and the outside in the life.
So life taught you to be thoughtful. I like that. Answer.
Yeah, because if you're being good person, you're being good person. If you're being bad person. But I have seen bad and I have seen good sides.
Yeah.
I have seen both sides, and my choice, I chose good sides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love that. April has some. She's been to Turkey a couple of times, right?
Just once. I went to Turkey. It was my first solo trip by myself, and I had a chance to go to Antalya and Cappadocia, Istanbul, of course, Izmir. I absolutely love the country. I forgot before I landed, I forgot that Turkey was like the cradle of civilization.
Yes, they still it's the center of the earth, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
everything started from Turkey.
And then we started taking some tours, and I was like, holy shit, a lot of shit happened here.
And April shared on our show that where you proposed on that boat,
Yeah, private yacht.
she had been there.
Oh, and the Bosphorus.
On the Bosphorus, we did a cruise, and I feel like I saw in the background the high school that used to be Constantine's temple, where he kept, not temple, Constantine's building where he kept the soldiers.
Yeah.
It's a high school now, and that trips me out. The kids that go to school there, like,
Oh, yeah.
they're in Constantine's.
I know exactly. I understand what you're talking about. Yeah. And
Yeah.
the ASEAN side. We're talking about ASEAN side right now, high school. They have
Asian side.
doing, yeah.
They're just kids that just walk around in the hallways, like that isn't mind blowing. I have a question, Mert. Feel free to say, I don't want to talk about that right now. How do you feel when you're in England, when you are walking around and it's okay for you to be yourself and you don't have to have any fear? How does that feel to you?
You understand my question?
How's your feeling when you're moving here? Seeing
No, how do you feel like in Turkey it's not like for LGBT not good?
oh yeah, but yes, I understand. You need to explain. Yes, but maybe in my country not possible. Not don't have any rules about LGBTQ. Not safe, but still yesterday coming out. Rishi Sunak all doing about LGBTQ. Man is man, woman and woman not being together. Not fair. I told myself if I move into UK, safe for us. After yesterday, I can't say. Don't have not safe.
Not safe in the UK?
See,
No.
like to explain
no, because I have been in London, not safe. My feeling not safe. I have been Exeter, same. Still, I am here in Barnstable. Not safe for me because I can't go into out. I can't doing good things because I can't doing just if I take a Shane for meal somewhere safe. If I can find safe place, just this and nothing. Because I was born in Istanbul, have 40 million people. I am not scared, and 40 million people, I'm not scared. But in the UK, don't have 40 people totally. But I'm scared.
Yeah, I think like I don't know if you've seen the news within the last week with the abhorrent comments that our UK Prime Minister's made about he won't be bullied into believing that there's anything other than just men and just women. He has come out and publicly said that trans women don't have a place in women's wards. Trans women don't have a place in women's safe spaces. He's just trying to clasp at straws and trying to get a vote, but he's playing a very dangerous game and he's inciting hate against the trans community. People are up in arms about it, but in 2023, I feel like we're going backwards in inclusivity and how, especially the trans community, feel safe in the country. The amount of hate that's online and the people that are following the Prime Minister and his questions. And there was like a leaked video of like a conference that he'd had saying that another member of parliament was delusional, trying to say that some women have penises. And it's crazy. And obviously, like with everything that's gone on in the last week, I feel like Mert, I even felt bad. I don't know who I had a conversation with the other day. I brought Matt here because we wouldn't have a safer life in the UK, and obviously with everything going on, yes, it's still safer than it would be in Turkey, but I feel bad for taking him away from everything that he knows when we're starting to backpedal on inclusivity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I think it's irresponsible for a leader of a country to be reckless with their words, because even as a person of color, when you're reckless with your words, there are people out there that are going to take you for fact. And then you put those people in positions where they may or may not be as safe as they expected. So it's disappointing to hear that. And listen, globally, Mert, we're all trying to work for everyone's equality. So surround yourself by the people that love you, the people that support you, and we can all move forward in unity. That's the only thing I can really say. Do you have any last questions, April? I know I've kept you guys so much longer as per usual because, like my mom says, I'm long-winded.
I only just have one last question. How does your mom feel, Shane, with being one of the best moms in 90-day history?
My mom?
Nah, mine.
Mert, oh, you hurt Mert's feelings.
Sorry, Mert.
So, like, she doesn't really go on online a lot. She's obviously watched the show, but I don't think she quite grasps how well she's been perceived and how much people loved her on the show. She's not one to go on Facebook and like sift through loads of comments and search about like the show and different things. So she's only really heard from like what me and my friends have said to her. But no, she hated filming. She didn't like it. She was just put on the spot, and as soon as the film crew would leave, she was like, "Why did you make me do this? I don't want to do this." But no, she took it like a champ, and I think she just came across as very genuine. But no, she did me proud. It's a big thing. Like, we sign up for the show. Our friends don't go out of their way, and our family don't go out of the way to be on a show. They do it because they love us and they want to support us. So I always thank, like, especially Grace and my mum, and everyone that took part in the show. It takes balls. It does.
Yeah. Amanda wants to say both the moms are sweet. Mert's mom was so sweet too.
Yes,
and I will say this, given the culture, I felt that Mert, your mom, was so not only open-hearted and open-minded, but so welcoming. And so that moment you shared on international TV for a country that's not known to be as open-minded, that was a very special thing. So your mom is definitely like up there in the sweetness as well.
Yeah. And yes, very, very hard for me because my family is Muslim and she have 5 times every day have praying God and reading Quran. When I talking about change gender, she direct accepts. She direct says, "This is your life. We give him respect. How you can do what you want." Yeah.
It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. Listen, I spent time growing up in Saudi Arabia, predominantly Muslim country, as a female, and there were not a lot of rights. Black female in Saudi Arabia, it was a whole thing. So for your mom to be as open as she is incredible. It shows me that even though we're in 2023 and it feels like we're moving backward, we really have moved a lot forward in inclusivity. Now, last question, I promise, because Amanda will not stop talking about it. Mert, remember where on TV you went to the grocery store and I think you bought this like little goose?
Ah, yeah.
She wants to know where it is.
That is like the top #1 question when we go live on TikTok.
Yeah.
Where's the duck? Where's the duck? So she just sits on our table now. So, and we let people on TikTok comment on what her name should be. So
Oh my goodness.
She's called Daisy the Duck. And she sits pride of place on the table ready to have her cameo in any video she wishes.
I was not ready. That was beautiful. It was perfect. Thank you guys so much for spending some time with us today and catching up on all things Shane and Mert. You guys have a new YouTube channel. What is it called? Where can people follow
the
it?
channel is called Shane and Mert, The Next Chapter. But if you just type in @Shane and Mert, all one word on YouTube, it will pop up. So if you want a bit more Shane and Mert, now the show's finished, you can binge out on that. We upload every week. And well, they're not that professional. It's just me on my phone, but it gives you a little bit more of an insight into like our world and what we're up to.
The chat is going crazy. Thank you guys so very
Good night.
Good night. It's been lovely so much. You guys, don't forget to head on over to Shane and Mert on YouTube. You can find them all across social media with their names and their hashtags. Make sure you're following them to continue to follow their journey. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for giving time.
Thank you, guys.